Hi, Tattoo Kate here, 1981, and today we're going to do some installation of partitions here. So, as you see, I have two programs already installed. So, because I'm going to try one or the other. So, one has Linux Mint installed on its own, and we have one then with a desktop. And now I'm going to do more of these as well, so I can add two optional drives. So you can see the difference between the two separate drives compared to one separate drive. I'll probably not even install it. I'll just probably give you an example. But then again, I probably would. But I'm going to try it with Linux Mint first to see how this one's going to work, especially it has the old version of you know what, the grub. So let's try that out. So first things first, we know we have Linux Mint, and Linux Mint's working, but you notice we have 306 gigabyte of storage of each. So we're going to add in, and I'm going to add in Fedora for this one, and we're going to hit start. And I just wonder, will we get Linux Mint as well along with Fedora? Which I'm hoping Fedora maybe come as the number one thing. But as you know, it's only have one port because I'm going to go overwrite this one, so they shrink it. So let's try that. So we do for the Linux Mint way. It should be a wee bit easier compared to doing it for the Fedora way to install Linux Mint. So we'll do it this way first. So this should open up, as you can see, Fedora. So let's open up Fedora. So as you see, Fedora skin is actually loading up now live instead of an image, ISO image. So we'll just give it a few moments. And voila, we're in. So, and that was too much time. I'm just going to just stretch the screen just to make it a bit better. And now I'm going to bother do the rest of it because I'm not keeping it. So what we're going to do now is just to launch the drive. Just get right to it. So we'll continue on this, just like your language, which you prefer. So we're going to do the partition now. So as you know, we don't have another drive. We just have the one drive here. So if the screen's bright, I usually put it on dark mode. You know what? I'll do that just right now because it's hurting my eyes too. It's too bright. Colors and themes. Let's do no colors. Apply. I always like a nightlight on just to make it easier for my eyes. So we do 4.0. That should be grand. So, yep, cancel. No. I'm going to cut this very quick and open it again. So hopefully we should have a dark mode version of it now. Once we load this up. There we go. Much better. So continue partition. That's much better. Let's see. So you can see we only have the one drive, right? So we want to add another drive one of these days, so you can stick between this drive and then the other drive. So you keep this one as your Windows or whatever Linux you're using on that one, and use and install Fedora on the second drive. But since we don't have a second drive, we're going to use our one drive. So if you didn't have any spare drive, you can use this drive. If it has enough storage, we should get like 150 each. So let's free up some space, and we're going to hit done. Let's tick the no. Brings up this. So yours might come up Windows or whatever version you're using. So you see I have Linux Mint right here, which I'm using Fedora. But Linux is Mint is showing here. We're going to click on this, or sorry, wrong one. Click on this one that has the extension, because that's what has the storage. Don't change any of these. Keep it the way they are. Just go to extension, and we're going to hit shrink. So we have a sweet slide bar right here. And if you don't want to do that, just go back to preserve, and it's back the way it was. Or even you hit here by an accident, you go, oh dear, I pressed that by an accident. Just hit preserve, and it's back the way it is. But if we're going to shrink it, and we want it 130, or we could try to get 150. Oh, let's see, 152, 153. There you go. So between these, so what that's telling you is out of 294 space, the Linux Mint is going to have 152 storage or gigs, and the Reclaim is Fedora is going to get is 153.91. So when we have reclaimed space, that's it. We don't want to touch nothing else. So we have reclaimed space. That's a partition now set automatically. So we're just going to create our thing here now. So I just, me, just do my wee basic tattoo key 1981. I could do this many times as I want. And we're going to have 0. Make sure it's just a 1, 0. That 0 is a bit glitched out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put 1, 1. So this is 1, 1. And we're going to hit done twice. And then begin installation. So you will see it says resizing file system. So you'll never see that if you're using another drive. That's only if you want to combine the two drives into one. They have to resize the file system before they continue on with the installation. So why wouldn't on that to work on? I'm going to go on here and work on this to make sure it doesn't turn itself off. And I'm glad you can do this while this is doing that at the same time, because it works. So we're going to do screen locking, and we'll put in never, and we're going right down to the power apply. Right, it does not now. Wait, never custom all names and apply, and it's done. So now it's doing the installation, as you can see. So that's putting that now into our hard drive. So you see a wee disk loading here. So this is running from the actual disk. And we have our hard drive right here, which is just going to run into that hard drive. So yeah, that's the way it works. So we just wait till this to finish. This is live view, so I can't really skip it. But you'll see in the example what it'll be like if you have two systems running on one drive. And that's how you make your partition. It's simple enough by the looks of it. But on the other hand, the Linux Mint version is going to be a wee bit sort of okay, because you can install alongside, which is good. So that should be simple enough. So it'll automatically adjust the size or I think it gives you an option to adjust the size. I'm pretty sure. And then you have your Linux Mint installed in too. So I'm going to have that too. So once that's done, now I'll run it up and see where the Grubhub will come up, which I similar will, because the Grubhub is the latest one. Is Fedora has that latest Grub 2.12. As the Linux Mint, I think it's 2.06, or am I wrong? But theirs is more the older version, so they go for the latest Grub. So, but we'll soon find it when all that's finished, and we get to it then, because I can't think any other way, other ways. But if you put this on your computer, this is kind of similar, to be honest. I'm using the VirtualBox, but it's sort of similar if you're using it that way. Linux Mint is very, very, very limited what you can actually do. I use Fedora on my main computer on one of my drives on this computer right here. But I'm using Windows, as you can see, for this. But I have two separate drives on that, so for me to get the Linux, the Fedora to work and to get Windows to work, I have to put Fedora as the head on my boot menu for that to come up. So for the BIOS, you have to do that. But unfortunately, I can't show you that through here. I do apologize, but the installation process will automatically move your boot to the top anyway. So that's what I had to think about the bootloader. So that's going to put in that Grubhub as your top priority. If it's combined or not, that's going to be your top host, which we're hoping for. Even as the second drive, but it still come up as the first boot. Because they count that as two different drives, even if it's combined into one. Two separate drives, some similar, only they say it's way better to have it on that way. They said it's way better to do it that way. To do two separate drives than having two drives together. Right, this is now finished now. So not easy process, but if you're very good at the computer, you have no problems. But see what confuses me, I never understood why that goes an hour behind. Like you can see here, it's 11:45. This is 10:45, and I have a select on GB, so it should be the right time zone, but seems to be not. So now we close this, and we shut down Fedora. We could restart, but we have to remove the disk. So that's what I'm going to have to shut down, because it's not like Linux Mint the way you press enter to actually get it to work. So turn that volume down a bit. It's a bit loud. Yeah, put it to 10. That should be alright. So now, even it just shows you the one drive, but there's two in the one. So what we're going to do now is we're going to untick this, so make sure that drive is empty. So it runs on the SATA port 0. And let's get back to it. So we should get two items. So we should get Fedora, as you can see. Grub version 2.12, and we also got Linux Mint. So I'll go on to Linux Mint just to show you this is Linux Mint. And voila, Linux Mint, as you can see. So we're going to quit that, and now we can restart. And now we're at the top, and now you see Fedora. So now it's going to run as empty Fedora. Simple as that. And I'll do the exact same on your computer. It doesn't matter if you're running Windows, it'll still work the same way. I can't show Windows on this because VirtualBox has two different operations, so I can't get the actually called work. But there you go. There's Fedora. So now you can run two operation systems on one. So we got that one sorted. Our next one is if we did it by reverse. So if you have Fedora in first and you want to say, right, I want to install Linux or Windows or wherever. I won't think anybody's going to install Windows, but you never know. But you know their drives is sort of different. So you have IDE secondary drive, secondary device 0 as a disk, and the SATA port as their main hard drive. As Fedora's version, they're both IDE, but they're no SATA ports. And I didn't set this up, it's all Macless set it up. So they have IDE primary device, which is the drive, and then the secondary device is an optional drive. So now we're going to go to Linux Mint. So we have our Linux Mint set. So now that means now it's going to start up the optional drive. And you see we have 10 gigs of storage. Just to run things a wee bit quicker. So now you see we have Linux Mint. Then put in the Fedora. So now we're going to do the installation if we're doing it from Linux part onwards. Now, to install on a different drive, I'll do that for part 2. I should rename that as part 1, but I didn't. I'll fix it later. But that there should be part 1. But I'm going to because there are 2 different types of partitions you can actually work on. But here we go. We're in Linux Mint and it's on the small square box. So we can fix that by going display settings. Click here. Can we get the same thing we got from the other thing? Was it 16 by 9? Hopefully it doesn't glitch out. Because I know something about this, one thing about this Linux, they always seem to glitch it out. Keep changes. No, seems to be fine. Perfect. That's all I wanted to do. So we're going to go into settings here very quick and do what we do. So we're going to go to night lights. We're going to put it on to keep us nice and cozy. We're going to put this to never. And put this to never so it doesn't turn itself off. And now we'll go to themes and put dark mode just to give us a wee bit easier in the eyes. So we just went on this to open. There we go. So switch to dark mode. And I'll give it a nice pinky color. And we don't need to change the mouse cursor because I'm not keeping this. This is just example. So now we're going to close this. And we're going to go to the main menu. Then, oh sweet. So this is new boot repair. That's handy. What am I doing? The install is still excellent. Mint. And you can actually delete that or move it to trash, but I don't recommend it. That's there for a reason. For you to install. And I don't know any other way you can get that back again if you did remove it, so I'm not going to take a risk removing that. because you'll be stuck with a live version for the rest of your life until you install it again. Especially if it's ISO file and it's not in your flash pen. So we're waiting on this now to load in. Does that wheel kind of remind you of the Mac, like one of the Mac wheels when it loads? So there we go. So we have that's their installation. So we're going to continue. We're going to do UK. And we could do this, but like I said, this is only for a test, so I'm not going to be using this. So I'm not going to tick the box. So this one here doesn't say alongside, as you notice. It just says erase and install the next month. So that's going to erase the one over. So if you have Windows in it, I used to say install alongside Windows, maybe because they're both Linux meant. So they think that's just a one Linux. So as you can tell, Fedora doesn't work alongside Linux for this way. They have these features, but I don't really figure that out. So this looks like it's going to be something else because you want to keep Fedora. So let's go to something else. So if you had two drives, it'll come up two drives. But because we only have the one drive, we're going to stick with the one drive. So we're on SDA. So if you scroll down here now and see, we have sort of a big space right here. It says unknown. So we can't touch that at all. So this one's going to be sort of awkward because this one is not going to go well. Because they have as a hard drive, PTRFS. Yeah, this is not going to go well. So I can't even create a new partition table. That sucks. So unfortunately, you can't really do it on this one. Although, if you had two separate drives, you can. See, Linux Mint, their version is the partition on this is unbelievable. Pain in the butt. The only rescue is one drive. So that sucks. Because if I take that out, that's going to erase Fedora's. That's Fedora stuff here. So that doesn't let you create another thing. And then I can create another partition, but it's not going to do anything. It's not going to do any good. Because I can mess up this and then I'm not going to get Fedora working again. So if you want to use Linux Mint if you're running Windows, usually it might come up alongside. It usually does come up. But because this here is Linux, I don't know if Linux works with Linux because Linux Mint Scrub is using the old version, so it's not recognizing the installation. So yeah, I can't really do much with this one. So you can't really install it, unfortunately. But although while we add another drive, because that's just Fedora only. So while we do install another drive, I may as well do it this way to give you an example what it's like to install from Fedora or from Linux Mint. Linux Mint, you can do it this way. So we're going to go to storage. So just like imagine you install in a storage, only have to do it here. So we're going to add another storage. We could use this one, but I'm going to just create one and keep it on VDA. And we're going to do, say, about 304 will do. So then keep that selected. Choose that drive. So now we have another drive, but see it's not attached. Don't worry about it. I know that one's attached, but don't worry about this one. When we get the installation on, that'll be attached then. So we're going to hit OK. So now we got two drives. And you have to rename it, make sure it's on primary device 1 or SATA port 1, whatever one you prefer. So now we got two drives instead of just overwriting one drive, because unfortunately Linux Mint doesn't work that way. But when you have another drive, it does. So I'm just going to hit New Year. We're going to hit Start, get it running. So we're going to start Linux Mint. And it's on the big screen. I think I remembered from the last time. Or will it just shrunk, or it might shrink down again? If it does, doesn't matter. I'll fix it again. So that's the one right off the disk. Right. So before I install, I'm just going to do some changes on the settings again. As you can see, it's in bright theme. So I'll start with themes because that's the slowest process. So I'm going to put in dark mode and give it a nice pink. Go back, night light, I'm going to put that on and put that to never, and scroll down to the power. Put that to never, and now we're good. Install Linux Mint. So we're going to install now the Linux Mint. So this one, you have to do something else as well. But the good thing about this one, you have a blank drive and you just move and create a new partition on that drive. So then it doesn't overwrite this drive or your main drive. And I should explain it more from here, but I'll explain more about it now. I'm going to skip the codes. We don't need the codes. Like I said, I'm not going to use this computer. I'm just giving you an example. As you can see, you don't want the erase because that's going to remove Fedora. So you have to use something else again, but you see the difference in this one. This one, you have another drive. You see that? So you're not overwriting this one because this is your Fedora's one. You want to move to drive B and put that as a bootloader. And we want to scroll down until we go to device B, right here. Don't use SDA, use SDB at your second drive. So make sure you click on that and don't touch any of these. Now we're going to create a partition. So if I remember correctly, what's the first partition you do? Is it, I think it's EFA. I think it's the EFA partition. So we're going to do start, continue. And now we have a nice blank space of drive right here. And I probably could have done that in the other one. So there's our free space. So when you keep it on this drive, don't click any others. Just click. Make sure you click this drive so you know it's going to store down here. So you want to use this. So we're going to create a new partition. New partition. Oh, you have to go to free space and you hit plus. That's the way it works. So we don't want to have this yet. So I think we have to do an EFI system partition. And what do you say for that? Oh, I'm going to cancel that very quick. I'm going to see. Right. So they do theirs different here. So I'm just trying to think very well here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the EFI and we're going to put, I think it's 1000 megabytes. So we do 1000 megabytes should be big enough. So we're going to hit OK. So what that does now, that made the EFI partition 999. That's perfect. And you notice we still have more space. So we do ends, click on free space again. And they will give you a free space like this. But that's just like the way this is. So our next one now is to do is it a swap partition? Or do we do extension 4? Or is it a swap first and then the EFI and then the partition? I'm not too sure. But I'm going to try it out. So let's try the swap area. I don't know. I'm putting these in the right way. It's a right. Okay. So I made a mistake here, so I'm going to remove this and do this again. So let's go to free space, add. So we're going to do the swap area first, the beginning of the space, and we don't need all this. So if I could swap, what did I give for swap? Oh, I'll just do one. Whoops, that's too much. 1000 should be enough megabytes. So we made a swap partition now, and now we do EFI. So let's do the EFA one now. And we'll try, let's do this. And also a 1000. It doesn't need that much space, but you can actually even do 500. You know what? We'll do 500 megabytes. No, do 1000 just to make sure. So it gives us 1000. And then the rest of the space now is the extension 3, which should be our extension joining system. Don't think we need anything else. So we'll do the extension. And we have to mount this extension as well. So we're going to have to put the line on it because this is where it's going. It's going into this. So hopefully this should be all set. So we have a line mount, so where it's going to. Everything else doesn't need to be. So we hope, fingers crossed, hopefully this should be it now. So we're going to hit here, make sure we're using this drive. And now we have all the drives that we got everything we need. So now I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm hoping it does. We'll soon find out. So here's our partition that we just made there. So this is going to be overwriting the drive B. As you can see, it says B. It doesn't say A. So we know it's safe enough. We're going to wipe all this out so everything be formatted to swap the ESP and extension. So let's get started. And let's keep it on London. Same thing again. Now you don't put hopes on me for this one because this one was quite tricky for me to work with. So we're going to put 1 and 1. And let's turn that wire off. I don't want it updating any updates. This is now disconnected. So I don't want any updates. I just want to just get a simple installation and then that's it. That's all I want to do on this. So that might take a wee bit. So it's a pain in the ass. When for all this installation they finish. But if I put the internet on, it's going to take even longer. So that's why I turned it off. Just to install its defaults and not put any updates. Sorry about this is so slow. It just takes time for that to install. There you go. It's done. So the good thing about this is when I hit restart now, I don't have to really shut down. It actually comes up. It tells me to remove the thing, but automatically removes it. So when I hit restart now, which I can do in this, because you see now, oh dear, it's disconnected, it's reconnecting. Oh, there we go. Or my thing is going a bit, must be very weak today. Apologize if that happens now. Hoping that's running. It says offline. Let's give a refresh. Yep, now it says live. Perfect. Everything's working. Lovely. That's all I want to see. Um, but there you go. So we have Fedora here. Oh, that's right, because I have Fedora as a second drive. So let's hit restart and see. Hopefully the grub comes up. Oh, it only says Fedora. See, maybe because the grub is the latest version of the grub on the Fedora supports. But there's no other option there. Right, so this is quite odd. Maybe the installation didn't work after all. So let's check first to see what I done wrong. Wonder if I have to move that to the top. I'm going to try that and see. Let's go into storage. So we'll go to this drive 0. I'll move that to secondary drive just for a minute. And move this to drive 0, 0 so that's at the top. And then put this to primary drive 1. No, that's at the top. Let's see what happens. Right, it opens Linux. Okay. But then it gives us a grub hub. But look, Linux definitely works well. So I did something right, but I think I did something wrong at the same time. Because the grub is not supporting this Linux. Hmm. So that's quite odd. So Linux does work, as you can see. We got Linux here. So I could just press number 1 and hit enter. And we're in Linux. Like so. So it does work. I wonder because you may have to use the internet. So it installs its grub. Maybe I'm not sure. That could be an option. So I'm just texting here. Oh, it's synced. Right, it's perfect. So it does work. As you can see, it works fine. But for some reason, it doesn't come to a grub hub. Ooh, that's a failed. I seen a wee thing popped up as a failed. So it doesn't come up a grub hub for some reason. Or else if you install Linux Mint first and then put in Fedora, then it works. But if you do by reverse, like reverse it all the way, it doesn't work. So I'll put this back down and move this to drive 0 and put this to drive 1. So it's back where it was. So when I start it up now, it should load in Fedora, but it doesn't show Linux Mint. It just shows Fedora only, as you can see. It doesn't give me any other option. And Fedora will run, obviously, but it does not give me any other options. So that is weird. But if you do it if you already have Linux Mint installed and then install Fedora, it works proper. Even I have that in one by one here. But see, Fedora installation's way easier. Way easier. So what I'm going to do is we'll keep Fedora and just imagine if you want just imagine that one of the programs was Windows. Now I can't do this for VirtualBox because the operation system will not work. The required operation system to use Windows 10, and I can't use Windows 10 on Fedora and not work. And then if I use all their own known like this, and not work on Windows, it just gives the black screen and not go anywhere else. As Fedora, I can keep it on all our own known, and it works for Linux Mint and Fedora, so which is handy. So what I'm going to do is we're going to see about this drive here. But as you can see now, they're both attached. So this secondary drive, we're going to remove. Go back here and hit this. And now we're going to pop in a new drive again. And do the same thing. So by 300 nodes, 304 is perfect. And we're going to select this drive. So this drive now is blink. So, and then I'll give you a difference between it. So I'm going to install Fedora again. But just imagine if this Fedora, oh sure, it won't be the same though, because then on that run, Fedora's grub. So yeah, so it's not going to work what I planned it to work to be. Bugger. So I may have to install Linux Mint again from scratch. So I wonder if I can able to format this drive. So I can keep this and just reinstall Linux from there. I don't think that's going to be possible, but all I can do is remove attachment. Once I remove it, then it's gone. So I'll do just that. We're going to add in create a new drive, and we'll pop in see, we can try and get free. There we go, 304 with perfect size. And we'll choose this drive. So that's our blank drive now. So I have to install Linux Mint on this one. So let's get our drive, and I'm going to get Linux Mint. And we'll hit OK and start. So this should run up. And install Linux Mint. I'll fly through this, so don't worry. I know you already have seen this installation. I do apologize, but as you can tell, you can't do it the other way. I don't know if I did the installation wrong, but it seems to work because it went through. So that was too much time. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the wire. And we're going to go to settings, go to themes, make it dark mode, put all these, just these wee random stuff in. Shouldn't take too long. The themes is the longest. The dark mode to pink. Night lights, put that on. I was saying that wasn't too much time. And done. Still on next month. Oh, the wheel's not spinning this time. So we'll keep it on English. We're not going to bother with the installation codes. As I say, I'm not keeping this machine on. This is just a test. That's why I wrote testing at the top of it. Hiccups. So, no point doing something else. May as well just do the tire drive. So let's do erase disk and install now. So we have our two things here. So you don't have to do a swap because the swap on a, if you're using OneDrive, you want to run the other. That's what the swap is. So that is partition 2 and partition 3. And I did partition 1 as the swap. Partition 2 is the ESP, which is the FA program. And then partition 3 is the actual extension. And we're not from New York, so we'll put it on London. And here we go again. One, continue. So the installation part, again. But at least this year, when Windows are at least this year now is going to run the next month with the old grub, and then you install Fedora has a new grub, and then a work again on that. And we really show you what it's like to put in for the first, like when you have them together. Well, this I'm going to show you what it'd be like if you do two separate drives. So hopefully it doesn't take too long because I have to install in Fedora as well through the partition, and that's at the end. So you could just show you the difference through what it'd be like when you have that, and then what it'd be like again when you have the other. So if you had the one drive, and then you want to have two operation systems in the one drive, well, I already showed you what it's like when you have that. So I'm showing you now what it's like if you had like Windows, let's just say Linux Mint is Windows, and you want to install another program, but you don't want to put on Windows because when Windows puts an update, it might mess up the grub. Yes, that could happen. That could happen, to be honest with you. But then again, I might not. So I don't know. So I honestly don't know what way it's going to work, but hopefully it'll work the way we want it. And hopefully anybody has the one drive that they want to use two operation systems. And hoping that doesn't, if Windows does have an update, hopefully it doesn't overwrite the grub and cause errors. Which I can't see how it's happened because there are two different partitions, even though they're using the one drive. But as long as the BIOS keeps it that, I mean, one of the drives is the host, even there's two separate, or even there's two one drives. What am I making sense? Even there's a one drive, and there's run two operation system one drive. BIOS still rescues that as there's two drives, even if it's on the one drive. So you can just set that as the BIOS as the top grub. So I can't see how it's going to actually block over the grub. Or she put the grub uh, on the actual Windows part. Then it could happen. but I don't think that's possible. Like, because it has to stick. You have to stick it with Linux for the better results for things to work. Um, but anyways, on my computer I have two separate drives. So I have one that's running Windows, which I'm using here, and then I can turn that off and then start up and I come up Fedora's Grow Hub, and I can use Fedora as well. I can't use them together, unfortunately, like, but I can use it if I want to shut one down, like shut down Windows and use Fedora's program. I can do just that on my handheld device. It's running Windows 11 Home. I Because it only has the one drive. Um, I have to do it through the way I showed you it through the virtual box. Only I had to do it from my actual drive, and it works fine. And then um I used my program, or I used my Linux part as the boot menu. When I put in the boot menu, I put that as the host. Came with two drives, even though they have the one. So here we go. So we're going to hit restart now. And now I'm going to get into Linux Mint. I'm just going to just show Linux Mint and then knock it off. So when it comes up the desktop part, like this, and just knock it off because you know it's working. So now we got Linux Mint installed. So we're going to now shut down this, and we're going to add another setup port here. It's going to go ahead and do it again. And go to storage. We're going to hit SATA. May as well keep with the same thing. I'm going to create new disk, and let's put the 300 nodes as well. 304 is perfect. You think I'll take up on my space and on my disk, but I still have good enough storage, so not too bad. So now we have the both drives. So it's just like when you have two drives now. We're going to do now is put in our disk, and we're going to put in Fedora. So we're going to install Fedora onto disk number 2, and imagine then if we're using the boot menu, you want to move this as the top piece because that's going to have the latest version of Grub. And then if you don't put that in the top, it's just going to run the one program, which is the Linux Mint only, and it's not going to run the second drive. So that's the difference on this. So it's just like running BIOS, only I don't have to run the BIOS on this. So we're started up. So we're starting up now our Fedora here. So it opens up the entire screen. And I can keep entering it on for this one. So we just wait until live boot to pop up. And there we go. So let's do the plasma made by KDE. And it's on the small screen again. So I'm going to put the 16 by 9. It's just a good enough screen size for this. So I'm just going to do my usual here, which I don't have to, but I'm just doing it because this is too bright. So I'll make it dark. And we'll put the night light and drop it to 4000K. Should be alright. Nice and warm looking now, so it doesn't hurt my eyes at night, especially this time now at 12. ENS is 11. Don't understand it at all. Screen locking, we're going to put that to never. And power management, never. Custom, there we go. Apply. It just tells you about it, so we don't have to worry about that. Right, let's install our drive. Even I don't even see the purpose why I do this, but I do it. So now we're just waiting on our drive here. So we're opening up. So United Kingdom. It's like a partition. And now you notice, ooh, what a perfect spot. Got the two exact size, well, I guess. So you can still do the same thing. You can overwrite this one and split and shovel it. Or not overwrite it, you can shovel it. This one is running Linux Mint. And you can still do it that way. You can just free up a space and away you go. Shrink it and do what I did earlier. But this time we're not going to do that. We're going to knock this one off because we have another drive, which is SDB. We're going to use this drive. So, which means it's going to be our second drive. And the handiest thing is you don't have to shrink it. So you're going to have a good enough 304 storage, or maybe just 290 or 280. Depends on the much programs that they install to run it. So I'm taking this box. So this would imagine if you had two separate drives. This is the way you do it. So you have your two separate drives instead of using the one drive and shrink it to get the drive to work. So you only have to use half a drive, so they both have to share the storage. And then one do one, then one do the other. As is here, that one now still has its free space, and then you have another drive which is blank, and you're going to put that free space. So we're going to hit done, and you can see it's nothing there. But the handy thing about this, you don't have to set nothing up. All you do is just hit delete all and hit reclaim space, and that does everything else free. Don't have to set any partitions or nothing like that. That's automatically now. As long as you have a select for that version, make sure it's an SDB drive, not the SDA. Excuse me. And then you begin installation and it doesn't say resizing. It just gets right to it now because it doesn't need to resize. See the handy at it, so you don't have to worry about resizing the file because it's in its own drive. So just imagine you had another hard drive or SSD drive or NVMe drive or we call that, then we stick pen things. But I use the SSD drives and I use the Samsung drives because they seem to be the best drives that I got so far. I never have any issues with them. So, and yes, this may take a wee bit. But after this should be finished then, and then I'm not making a video any longer. That this is perfect. I don't want to make a video any longer anyway. This is as far as I'm going. But because I'm only showing you the partition part, we really know what the installation's like and so on. And then I can do the installation again. So I don't want to go through all that again. So we just make it nice and simple and short. So we just do this part and then let it load up. And I will show you example why you have to move the drive up. Because if you don't, it's just going to run Linux Mint and it'll not run Fedora's Grubhub. So yeah, so we don't want to mess that up. So this is now finished now. And after that, I'm going to take a break. Because I'm afraid drained out today. A lot of things been going on. Good, the bad, and the ugly. So yeah, so I'm going to leave that till that time. So I'm going to just wait for this to finish. And then we'll see how we get on with it then. And then I'll show you in the it'll be somewhere like a BIOS on the virtual box. Just imagine the virtual box is my BIOS, and I have to move the drive up. So you have to open your BIOS through F12 or delete, or wherever F key that you use. There we go. Our installation is complete. So finish this, and then no point restarting this because this will not turn off. So I'll just shut it down. So let's shut down the computer. Shut down now. And it made a wee sound. So let's shut down. Because I have to remove this disk drive. Now, I'll leave everything away this, but I'll show you what I'm on about. If I don't move this, if I didn't move this, it would just run right into Linux without a boot menu. As you can see, it runs right into Linux Mint. And we don't want that. So, we'll power off. And just imagine my settings as your BIOS. So you press F12 or delete, and you log in for your storage drive or your boot drive, I should say. So my storage drive is your boot loading thing. So mine's will say both Linux Mint, but on yours it will say one of them could be Linux or USB drive, whatever. Look for the one that you know it's the right one. Hopefully it will say Fedora on it, and we want to move that up. So the way I can move that up is I have to use SATA port 2 and put this to SATA port 0 and put that to SATA port 1. So now I have it reversed. Now you see number 2 at the top and number 1 at the bottom. So now what's going to happen? It's going to load Fedora's bootloader because it will look for the SATA port 0, which that supports the new grub hub, and then you should be able to get Linux Mint below it. Let's see if I'm right. And voila. So now we got Fedora Linux, and we also got Linux Mint. So I'm going to click on Linux Mint right now to show that it's going to run Linux. And these are on two different drives. Now, they're not together. There's your Linux Mint. That's on your first drive. Or just imagine yours is Windows. That would be your Windows. So when you quit that and hit restart. And now this time we're going to Fedora Linux. So this will be your second drive. And voila, there's Fedora Linux. And it does that for the first time when you load it, but the second time won't do that no more. But there you go, there's your Fedora. So that's it. And that's how you're able to install it between a single drive or two drives. So as you can see, I already did that, but there are two smaller storages as I made them bigger this time. But that's how you're able to do two separate drives or have it on the one separate drive. Even though I have another drive here. So I thought that might work, but it didn't. But I still have this one as my host. So I'm going to go to settings and remove the second drive here. Remove attachment. Hit OK. And let's start this one. Is this one still going to run both? Or is that just Fedora only? So it just shows Fedora only. Okay. No worries. I must have overrated this one. Oh well, doesn't matter though. But it just tells you that you can run this with Linux, Mint or any kind of Linux, as long as you're installing the one that has a higher grub compared to the one that you have. And the best way is to install the old version, or even as a new version of Linux, but it was running the old version of grub. That is perfect, because then when you install Fedora, that's going to install the newer version of the grub, but then you have to put that up to the top so it can actually run the both systems in, because it's going to use the latest version grub, and then it knows Linux is there, so it put Linux in. But that's about it. So I hope you enjoyed this. Just a wee update for you. There's not more else I can do now, so have a great one, and hopefully I'll get back to gaming again. You probably haven't seen me and Jared on in a while. Me and Jared had a little, sort of argument. Didn't came out well, so I'm just going to leave it till then. But anyways, you never know. It can always change in the future. But for now, I'm not going to have Jared with me no more. But you still have me, but I know it's not going to be the same. Because I still have my other, what do you call it? Power World. Still have that thing there. But I'm going to start a new one just for me only to install. And I'm going to run it on the Linux machine. So it's going to be different. So I'm still going to use Steam to run everything up. But but I'm being running on Linux instead of Windows, and so on, just to see the difference between them. And you won't see any difference through it because I have my thing all locked in. So which means there's no other way out of it. Really, it's no like have it captured just for the game only, so you don't see anything else, only the game. So I can go into Facebook or go into anything, and you won't even see what I'm doing because it's captured only to show what I've captured to. So handy that way. But again, hope you enjoyed this. Have a good day and or night, should I say. Bye bye.